Who will emerge as the face of the heavyweight division? Events in 2018 and 2019 have left that as an open question, with no one heavyweight able to claim dominance over their rivals. If anything, the Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury draw and Andy Ruiz Jr.'s shock win over Anthony Joshua has split fan opinion even further as to who is the best and who will end up with all the belts. The four names that I've already mentioned are staking a claim for supremacy in the heavyweight division, but other fighters are hot on their heels and could blow by them in the next 2 years as the process of renewal in the heavyweight division continues. Nothing ever stays the same and nothing is ever guaranteed in boxing. So let's start examining what's generally regarded as the top four heavyweights. Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is the longest reigning belt holder in the heavyweight division, picking up the WBC strap in 2015 and defending it multiple times since. The now 34-year-old has long stated there will be one champion, one face, one name, and that of course will be him. Earlier in his title reign, when he faced opponents many fans were not interested in seeing, he was doubted and derided for such rhetoric. But a clear step up in competition since 2018 has seen his star grow. But as the oldest and most injury-prone of the top four heavyweights, the clock is ticking on Wilder's ambitions of becoming the undisputed champion. 2020 shapes as a big year for the 6'7" power puncher who backs himself to knock out any man put in front of him. With rematch clauses in his pocket, any setback may only be temporary, and if he continues winning, he could well prove his doubters wrong and emerge as the consensus number one in the division, something he already believes he is. Andy Ruiz Jr. Andy Ruiz Jr. erupted like a dormant volcano in June 2019 to cause one of the biggest upsets in heavyweight boxing history, dropping the then unified champion Anthony Joshua 4 times en route to a stoppage win. It was the fulfillment of talent he'd shown flashes of earlier in his career and a defining moment for boxing in 2019. Controlling 3 of the 4 recognized heavyweight titles at the time this video was published, it places him in a position of dominance should he win the rematch with Anthony Joshua. His 2020 could consist of mandatory defenses, and if he holds on to his hardware, a unification fight with the WBC belt holder by the end of 2020. But a year is a long time in boxing. Just ask Ruiz Jr. himself, who was largely an inactive fighter with promotional issues in 2018. So whether he can hold on to his belts, time will only tell, but Ruiz Jr. is thriving on being an underdog for his rematch with Anthony Joshua, and he will continue channeling fans' skepticism like he has for his entire career so far. Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury has long viewed himself as the best heavyweight in the division, even when he was out of the sport for a prolonged period following his dethroning of Vladimir Klitschko at the end of 2015. His comeback to the sport, it's well documented, and within 6 months of being back, he drew with Deontay Wilder, putting in a performance that surprised and impressed fans, and announced he was back as a factor in the heavyweight division. And many believed he did win that fight with Wilder despite being knocked down twice in that fight, very heavily in that final round. But despite the immediate interest for a rematch, which was backed by the WBC, the Gypsy King cut another path, cashing in on his renewed stardom, joining Top Rank on a lucrative co-promotional deal to fight on ESPN. This pushed the prospect of a Wilder rematch until at least 2020, and some fans are not convinced it will come to pass at all, with Fury dabbling in the WWE and some believing that Wilder's power has Fury second-guessing a rematch altogether. While the lineal champion has thrown out mixed signals regarding his career path and the what next, a win over Wilder in a rematch is needed to boost his claim as to being the best in the business. Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, before his loss to Andy Ruiz Jr., was building his way to an undisputed fight and was the clear cash cow in the heavyweight division, with an army of fans who regarded him as a near unstoppable force. The Ruiz Jr. fight handed him his first loss and erased some of the hype and aura that surrounded him. But he remains a very popular fighter who still commands the highest purses in the heavyweight division. And despite Joshua being written off by some fans, he remains one of the best in the division, and he can come again, even if he does lose again. The fact that he's now seen as beatable and somewhat vulnerable may actually increase his chances of making fight with his division rivals like Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, something which had proven difficult in the past, largely due to money and boxing politics. And undoubtedly, fan perception and opinion will shift again if he can perform well in his rematch with Andy Ruiz Jr. If he enters 2020 having reclaimed his old heavyweight titles, he could be in line to unify once mandatory considerations are out of the way. But hopefully for fans, we see more of a willingness to fight between these four fighters in the next 12 to 18 months, because there may end up being fights that should happen that don't, and best laid plans they can well fall to the wayside as other contenders rise. We saw it with Andy Ruiz Jr. beating Anthony Joshua. That threw Joshua's 2019 out the window. And in the next year or two, we could well see the likes of Alexander Usyk, Daniel Dubois, Filip Hrgović and F.A. Ajagba become real factors in the heavyweight division. The next wave of talent is coming. So hopefully we see Wilder, Ruiz Jr., Fury and Joshua make the sort of moves that we would all like to see, so we can answer the question definitively, who is the best among them?